Greetings, my name is Tom, and I'm really into flight simulation. All my life, I've been interested in history, geology, travel, and geography, adventure, and flying. Using Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 as a tool, join me and let's travel around the world and see things that you may never get a chance to see in real life.
When you think of the Colorado River, what comes to mind? The Hoover Dam? The Grand Canyon? Horseshoe Bend? Maybe it's the London Bridge in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Or perhaps it's General Wesley Powell, the Civil War veteran who was the first to navigate the rapids through the Grand Canyon. To understand the Colorado River, we're going to have to go to its source, up high in the Rocky Mountains. Let's take a closer look. The river starts in the state of Colorado. It travels out of the Rockies through Utah, forms the Arizona-California border, and terminates in the Gulf of California. Well, it used to make it that far. So let's zoom in, follow the red dot high up into the Rockies at a place called La Poudre Pass. The red line represents the Continental Divide. All moisture on the northeast side flows to the northeast into Long Draw Reservoir, where it eventually flows to the Gulf of Mexico. All moisture on the southwest side of the Continental Divide forms the beginnings of the Colorado River. Okay, my name's Tom. We're here on Long Draw Reservoir, which is up at 10,100 feet or so in the Rocky Mountains. We got to turn this thing around. Take off to the north. This is a Grumman G21 Goose, and it does not handle very well on the water, although I'm starting to get the hang of it. We got to take off to the south, and here we go. We're going to aim right for the end of the lake there. .54. We got to hit about 70 knots. We gonna make it? Oh, we should be able to lift off now. Let's pull her up a little bit. Oh, beautiful. And there we go. Let's get rid of the flaps. And by the way, this is my pilot voice. When it's scratchy like this is recorded while I'm actually flying the airplane. The other is after the fact.
So as I mentioned, the Grumman G21 Goose was designed in the 30s and first built before the war, I think in the mid to late 30s. I think it did some troop transport in World War II.
And that is Long Draw Reservoir. And directly below us right now is the headwaters of the Colorado. Let's gain some altitude and check that out a little bit better.
So we're gonna head north here.
And we're gonna get back over the lake and fly directly over that and try to point out the Continental Divide while we're there.
So we're back over the divide here, actually a little bit behind us probably.
But below us is Long Draw Reservoir, and basically it feeds Poudre Pass Creek, which flows into the Cache La Poudre River, which flows into the South Platte River, which flows
to the Mississippi, and ultimately to the Gulf of Mexico. So here we are, we've turned around, we're headed south back over the lake. Right here, just past this valley to the right, on that closest peak would be the tip of the Continental Divide, and it would go from right to left over to the peak on the left side. Let's see if I can draw that. Also down there on the right, looks kind of like a road, but I believe that's the Grand Canal, which takes water out of those mountains on the right, which are called the Never Summer Mountains, and diverts it to the northeast, to the other side of the Continental Divide. That diversion canal was built around the turn of the 20th century, I believe. So the water that isn't diverted or stolen by that canal system flows down through this valley and is the headwaters of the Grand River, as it used to be known, but what you know now as the Colorado River. It basically flows to the south-southwest out of the Rocky Mountains here and head towards its first stop directly ahead.
So the first lake we'll see here is Grand Lake. It is the deepest and largest natural lake in the state of Colorado. Throttle back a little bit. Look at our airspeed, 150 knots. So there's a little town down there of Grand Lake. I don't see if any of you are watching this right now and you live there at Grand Lake. Why don't you just go ahead and wave on up here?
The actual town of Grand Lake has about one person for every foot of lake depth, around 400.
This is Shadow Mountain Lake here.
Shadow Mountain Lake connects directly to our next stop.
I think what we're going to do is land over there on Lake Granby. We're going to give her 30 degrees of flaps. That'll help slow us down a little bit.
Here's a quick look at my setup. Pretty simple stuff, none of it's real expensive. It's an easy hobby to get into.
And let's land right over there between them islands. How does that sound? 100 knots, we got 30 degrees of flaps. We don't need our landing gear here. We're going to do what's called a touch and go here. Graceful as can be. Alright, not bad. A little bit of a bounce. We're going to take off. Hopefully we don't run out of room here. 50, 60 knots. A little more gas. Alright, there we go. We're getting a little light. And we're up.
This aircraft is great fun for its ability to land on water. However, it's very difficult to steer. It also has landing gear that can land on a runway.
There's the dam right there.
Granby Dam was built to hold the water back for agriculture and municipal use. It's almost 300 foot tall. The water that's held back is used in places like Fort Collins, Greeley, Boulder, and Loveland. Now we've turned decidedly to the west, and we're going to fly out of the Rocky Mountains
Yeah, I think Granby is probably just below us about now. Why don't we take a little look? Okay, so we're around 8,000 feet right now. We're going to fly through this gap, and this is our first little canyon here.
I believe this is actually called Windy Gap through here. There's a lot of small creeks that feed into the Colorado. Smith Creek, Kinney Creek, Drowsy Creek.
very curious. Do you think that this meadow here, this field, actually has just those two trees sitting there? So that is McElroy Airport. I don't see a tower, so they won't mind, right?
So we're coming up on Kremling here, population of about 1,500. Does appear as if they have a brewery there, though, which is must indicate it's a tourist town, eh?
Again, there's Kremling. Kind of see Muddy Creek there coming in, and I guess we better pay attention now. We're coming into this canyon.
I couldn't find much out about this area, except that it's fairly rugged looking and steep.
I guess I can't get too low. I'm gonna hit my wings on the side. Looks like a road or a railroad track right there inside here. It's very difficult for me to fly from this position. Although, look at, you can see the rudder action there. See my rudder? Fishtailing around. I'm having problems learning how to hold it in the center, that's all. Okay, so, and we're back over the river. Looks like we're going to go through another little pass here. Little island down there. Maybe it's Gilligan's Island, I don't know. Better view. Piney River comes in down there to the left. I believe that's Rock Creek that just joined us back there. And a small little settlement called McCoy. I have no idea what's there.
Well, you asked, so I'll tell you. McCoy has a post office and a population of about 30.
It was named after a cattleman.
Charles H. McCoy.
Obviously agriculture. There's Derby Creek right down there, that big wide ditch.
We just passed over a small municipality called Burns, probably named after Major Frank Burns.
Now we're going to go through another canyon.
The canyons in this stretch are going to take on a more reddish appearance. I don't know if that's from sandstone or what, but I'm sure the trees cover a lot of it. But on maps that I look at, it looks very reddish.
That is Red Dirt Creek. Red Dirt Bridge, Red Dirt Creek. Now I know. Okay. There's a big ranch down here. Colorado River Ranch. I guess that's a pretty good name for it. Looks like it's right down here, maybe.
I did notice on a map that they grow some wheat down here. So maybe that's what they're growing. I said wheat with a T.
Straight ahead here is Lions Gulch Campground. Right there beneath us. Some kind of campground right there. That's all I can tell you. Again, just picked it out on a map. But man, looks like a really nice place to be. I want to be there.
So this spot here is where Eagle River joins the Colorado River. So right now, basically, we came south and hung a right.
So let's just circle around so you can get a better view. Okay, now we're headed east.
We're looking at Eagle River, straight ahead. There's the Colorado. So now we're going to head to the west and get back on course here. This is also where I-70 joins the Colorado River. You can see the freeway beneath us there. The town down here at the junction is called Dotsero. D-O-T-S-E-R-O. I'm not sure how to say that. If any of the 1,100 people that live there would like to correct me, please leave a comment. But I'm going to go with Dotsero.
We're at 7,660 feet. Here is Glenwood Springs up here on the left. Let's take a trip down there and look. We're going to throttle back so we can lose a little altitude here. We're going to circle around in that bowl. So there's the Roaring Fork right there.
Those of you that pay attention will realize that the Roaring Fork River comes in here from the left and joins the Colorado here at Glenwood Springs. Population around 9,000. Big city.
Pretty decent sized buildings back there at Glenwood Springs.
Native Americans inhabited this area thousands of years ago, and for many thousands of years, and I could imagine it was a wonderful place filled with fish and wildlife. And I believe there was only one cell tower that serviced the whole area, so there might have been some communication issues.
So off here to my right, I believe, is Canyon Creek. And I think on the other side of this hill, straight over on the other side, is a little town called Chakra.
The geography in this area is fascinating. This mountain, the spine back, looks to me just like that. Some kind of spine of an animal with a break in the middle. And right there at the break or the pass is Newcastle. And off to the right is Elk Creek. Feeds into the Colorado there at Newcastle. Newcastle is another very large city, about 4,900 people. Now in this last stretch of the river before we reach Grand Junction Valley, or the Grand Valley, we shall fly over several small municipalities, including Silt, Antlers, and a town named Rifle.
I think it's Government Creek over there. I'll be surprised if there's any water in it. If it's the government's creek, it's probably running at a deficit. And I believe that's Tibet Canyon. And let's climb back out. I don't know what the rest of this canyon looks like. Oh, well, guess we're gonna find out. That looks like a tunnel to me.
That happens to be Beaver Tail Mountain Tunnel.
And there's some kind of scenic byway through there. That's pretty cool. Yes, so here we are. We're coming into Grand Junction. So we're going to follow Main Street. The airport's off there to our right. We're going to cut the throttle back. Propeller pitch back. We're going to give her some flaps. Drop the gear. Cut the throttle back. Feather the prop. I'm going to give her some additional flaps. We're going full flaps. I don't know what's going to happen when I land with this rudder.
I just started flying with rudder pedals and they're difficult to master.
Ooh, airspeed looks good. Just gonna kind of float this baby in. Oh, that's a little hard. Oh, that's right where I wanted to stop. Alright, well that wasn't pretty, but it was certainly effective. Not a great landing, but I think a good flight with a lot of cool scenery. See you next time.
So that wraps up part one. Next, we're going to go from Grand Junction to Lake Powell and every place in between. Lots of Red Rock country, lots of Utah. See you soon.